On this show, we cover some sensitive topics.
Though the obituaries may be outlandish, the people are real.
Names have been changed or omitted in order to respect both the deceased and the survived by.
While death is no laughing matter, some petty last words can provide some pretty entertaining comic relief.
Welcome to Obituary. Welcome back to Obituary. I'm Spencer Henry.
And I'm Madison Reyes.
And here we are in the big 2026, baby.
The big 2026. I think this year is going to be so good.
Yeah.
I mean, we will say that we are filming this just right before 2026. So if anything catastrophic happens, we don't mean that. Wait, last year, remember the fires? I can't believe that was a whole year ago.
Was that a year ago?
Yes.
When were they?
In January. They started like a couple days after, which, you know, those were horrific. And it was scary just even living in Los Angeles and the surrounding areas, like getting evacuated.
Remember my power got knocked out?
Your power got knocked out. The skies were terrible, and we weren't even very close to where things were happening. But I will say it has been so sweet seeing, especially in Altadena, they had their like Candy Cane Lane or their Christmas like lights area. And they still did it this year. And I'm like, oh, they're just so resilient, and like it's just so sweet.
Yeah, they're all getting back. Okay, wait, not to get too off track, but I was like thinking of that because I was like thinking of like which areas were affected, and then I started thinking about Brentwood, which is where Rob Reiner and his wife lived. I feel like that was a shock. Like it's not like, oh, he's somebody that I've adored forever and blah blah blah. He was a really great person, philanthropic. He was an incredible actor, producer, director, all the things. But I wouldn't say he's someone that I'm like, oh, I really knew his work and knew of that. But I feel like just the shockwave that went out from the death, I guess probably because it was so shocking.
Well, so shocking, but I agree with you where he wasn't somebody that I was like, oh yeah, that's my guy. That's my, you know. But like he's so part of just the Hollywood zeitgeist and the like old Hollywood too, because of his dad, Carl Reiner. And then you realize like, oh, holy shit. Like when Harry Met Sally and Spinal Tap and just like
all in the family.
Family, Meatball or Meathead or whatever. Yeah, it was devastating. It's so sad. And to be killed by your own child just feels crazy.
Allegedly,
I saw he hired Karen Reed's defense attorney, who, I mean, he's
he was also Harvey Weinstein's.
I know. I read that.
I mean, what are you going to do at that point? You fucking murdered both your parents, and it's very obvious. They found the blood in your hotel room. Like, there's no getting around it.
No, and that's...
So I don't get what the point is.
It's to mitigate things. It's so that he probably doesn't get... I mean, I don't think in California you even get the death penalty, but maybe he's going to try to claim insanity or whatever. Like, he's there to mitigate things, not to defend him.
Yeah. No, I mean, I understand that. I guess I'm just like, I feel like I'm like, come on, you're doing the fucking time. Unless he does have such a history. I think he's been in dozens of rehabs since he was 15 years old. So it's like, maybe they will try and be like, oh, he was on drugs. But even then, it's like, that is not an excuse.
No.
That is like, oh, I was on drugs. Sorry, I murdered this person.
Yeah. And then when you bring in motive and also, what is it? Premeditated. Yeah. Depending on where they were murdered, if they were sleeping or in bed, it's like, that's absolutely premeditated murder because you know that they don't have any ability to fight back. Or, you know what I mean? I don't know. I guess we'll see. But I did see footage of the defense attorney,
which I saw that today too.
I saw him going to the Brentwood house, and I do kind of think he's a badass in the way that he handled the Karen Reed case. I watched that trial almost every day, and the second trial, and I just think like he is not somebody to fuck with. But I also found it interesting because every single case that he takes on, he investigates also, allegedly, I guess. So that's like, it's weird for I guess a lawyer to go to the crime scene with the defense attorney. So I don't know.
I think it just depends. I mean, I feel like some people are more committed than others and like will go the extra mile, and that's why they become these like legendary figures. But it would be hard to be called on by like when someone was like beloved, like Rob Reiner, like to have a career with that length and that girth and not have any huge scandals attached to your name is pretty impressive. It'd be hard to represent someone who did something so awful to such a beloved icon. But I mean, someone's got to do it.
Yeah, I know. And then it gets into that, like, well, the law's the law. Everybody is entitled to a fair trial. And it's like, even if we know, we fucking know. Like, come on. Yeah. I mean, allegedly, whatever, but
allegedly, whatever.
Allegedly, whatever. But I'm just like, come on. You know, it's so terrible. Absolutely terrible. You know Horrible. Who also needs to hire a really good defense attorney?
Us.
Yes, us. But have you seen, this came out a couple weeks ago, but we haven't talked about it, that Bay Area funeral home director who gave a grieving family, instead of their son's clothes, they gave
his brains. Yes, girl, I saw that. Are
you fucking kidding me? For you guys that don't know or haven't seen this is from abcnews.com. I just have to tell you because, again, new year, but same funeral home bullshit. That doesn't go for every funeral home. We know the majority are great, but...
Well...
Allegedly. I don't know. Who knows?
We know some of you are great.
Yeah.
A lot of you have turned out to be pretty dicey.
Yeah, real dicey. So this says a San Jose funeral home is accused of making a terrible mistake of mishandling human remains, which already I'm like, this is not a terrible mistake. This is absolutely diabolical. A father has filed a lawsuit that says the funeral director gave him a bag with what was supposed to be his son's clothing. Once he got home, he realized the bag contained his son's brains. Why are we taking brains out?
Girl, leave them in.
Leave them in. Aren't we embalming? It's widely...
Well, they still, I think, they take some of the organs out when they're embalming and they put them in a bag. Was he shot?
They're not saying the manner.
Yeah, I guess it depends probably how he died because, yeah, they definitely would not remove the brain unless they were doing like a full autopsy.
Yeah, and they're not disclosing the manner, so we don't know. But still, either way, come on.
Crazy. No.
It says it's widely said that no father should have to bury his son. But the pain for this San Jose family is even worse because of what appears to be a funeral director's ghastly mistake. Alexander Panon, 27, passed away on May 19th of this year. His family asked the I-Team not to report the cause or manner of death. They are struggling with their loss and their experience at the Lima Family Erickson Memorial Chapel on Willow Street in San Jose. I am saying that very clear. Okay? And slowly. The family's attorney, Samir Habas, told the I-Team they wanted to do what's right for their son, and they wanted to have a dignified farewell for him. Habas filed a lawsuit for the family that says they agreed to pay Lima more than $10,000 for a full-service memorial tribute package. They also wanted to give nicer clothes for Alex to wear during the burial service and asked the funeral director to return what he was wearing at the time of death. The lawsuit says Anita Singh handed Alex's father, Anita, you need a different job, girl. You need a different career path. Anita needs...
She said Anita Singh.
Anita Singh. She's too busy singing. She's handing out brains, girl.
And Anita thing. Why is she holding the brains?
Because that's...
Why is she handing them out?
Because she's singing, okay? The lawsuit says Anita Singh handed Alex's father a bag. he went home to put it straight into the laundry and out tumbled brain material into the washing machine. I did not know about that part. The brain.
Not in the washing machine, girl.
Remember I was telling you yesterday, in the last year, we got new washer and dryer and they're stackable. And one of our friends had told us like, hey, I hear that those things stink. And I was like, yeah, whatever. No, they don't. These are brand new. Well, they fucking stink. The washer, I don't know what the deal is with the drainage. If anybody has any tips or tricks how to get the smell of mildew out of the washer, please let me know because it is terrible.
I'd recommend showering.
Bitch, I am showered. No, the worst. So like I went and got those like cleaner for the washer, right? Those little packets that you do.
Yeah.
And then I've cleaned the rim. I've drained the water. And I also have read that you're supposed to leave the door open after each wash to prevent the mold smell.
I'm gonna leave the door open.
That's not realistic. That's not going to happen. Our washer and dryer are like in a closet. So I'm not going to leave it open. Come on. It's 2026. We have cars.
I told you the best washer and dryers are those fucking
ones.
Maytag, the white Maytag ones.
Yep.
You can still buy them.
Yep.
Fuck a front loader. Fuck. I don't need my washing machine to text me. I don't need it to be on my Wi-Fi. I don't want my dryer to have Bluetooth.
No.
Yeah, I don't want to hear a fucking melody when you're done.
Speaking of,
yeah.
did you see?
Girl, can we finish this?
No, we can.
This man's brains are in the dryer.
I know, but hold on. So Cisco and I have been watching that Pluribus show, and it is so good.
No, I have never heard of it.
Oh, it's the creator of Breaking Bad, and it's about this. It's on Apple TV.
Never watched it.
Dude, it's so good. You have to watch it. But
well, no, I never watched Breaking Bad.
Oh, come on. Breaking Bad is
I missed the window.
So did I. And then I watched it. And it is
I know what
so
happens.
So who cares?
Okay.
There's so many seasons. I would rewatch it knowing exactly what happens. Anyway, the main character's name is Carol. There was a woman. I'm paraphrasing this because I don't quite remember, but I remember the gist of it. There was a woman in real life who checked herself into a mental hospital because she had struggled with like mental stuff before. I think like hallucinations and just that kind of stuff. And I never had hallucinations, girl. I just wanted to jump off a bridge. Okay. I wanted to end it. She had this new refrigerator, the ones that have the TV on them and like send you messages and shit. And her name was also Carol. And so she gets a message on her TV or on her refrigerator that says like, Carol, we're watching you, or like, Carol, don't do it. Or it had some kind of message, but it was an advertisement for Pluribus. And she was like, I am absolutely losing it. My name is Carol too. I'm imagining this. I'm checking myself into the mental hospital. And she did. Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
So all this new technology is fucking with people.
It's ruining things.
Okay, but back to the brain. At that point, they had no idea that it was their son's brain that was in the washing machine, Habas said. They didn't know if it was mixed up with somebody else's brain, whether it was their son's. They had not a single idea.
Damn.
Alex's father scooped out the brain from the washing machine, put it back in the bag, and returned it to Anita Singh at the funeral home. Habas said Miss Singh took the bag back from him, never disclosed whose brain it was, never gave information, no apologies, and said, I'll take that from here. Oh, she was shitting probably.
Oh, she's like, fuck. Okay, yeah, you didn't see that.
Yeah, you did not see that.
You didn't see it.
The next day, Alex...
Maybe it was her brains in the bag.
Honey, I know. The next day, Alex was buried at Oak Hill Memorial Cemetery. Weeks later, the lawsuit says a whistleblower who works at the funeral home came forward to confirm it was Alex's brain in that bag, and that after the mix-up, funeral director Anita Singh placed it in a box and left it outside in the funeral home's courtyard for 2.5 months. Girl, what the fuck?
You're sending it on a summer vacation, and for what? Just cremate it. Just something.
Finally, an employee spotted the box with the bag inside and became overwhelmed with the smell of a rotting human brain. Don't get me wrong, errors can happen, Habas told the I-Team. But what cannot happen and what should not happen is that you cover up your errors, and that's what the funeral home has done here. The Lima Family Funeral Home referred us to its owner, Service Corporation International, or SCI, the largest funeral service company in North America. They operate under the Dignity Memorial brand, pledging reliable service, which I always hear about Dignity Memorial.
Yeah, they do have, I think, a decent reputation, but I feel like it also is just too all-encompassing, because same thing with Forest Lawn, but we know there's been some disasters with them as well. So
it's really case by case.
It is.
So then it goes on. SCI spokesperson Christopher James sent the I-Team's Dan Noyes an email. Due to active litigation, we won't be commenting on this matter. Our next stop was the Lima Family Chapel, looking for the funeral director. An office manager told me Anita Singh did work here, but she left for good 2 weeks ago. Noyes was able to catch up with the funeral director as she arrived home and asked, damn, they're relentless. How do you give a father his son's brains and not a bag of clothing, Anita? Singh just backed away. Anything to say to the family? And nothing. The I-Team also scheduled an interview with Alex Panon's parents, but they were too emotional and decided they couldn't talk about their ordeal yet. In the meantime, their lawsuit moves forward and their lawyers are negotiating a plan to reunite Alex's brain with the rest of him, already buried at Oak Hill. We don't know the extent of how much suffering you're going through for the remainder of their life, Habas said, but I can tell you it's something that they're never gonna forget. It's something they're going to have to live with forever.
I'm awarding the family $5 million.
Me too.
If I was the judge,
Me too.
I'd be like, $5 million.
I found our gavels the other day in the attic.
Oh, you have them. You guys. Okay. So obviously I moved across the country. I had to, I could not bring everything with me. So you have the box of gavels.
I do. Yeah. I'll bring them out next episode. I should have, they're in the attic.
Will you bring me a gavel when you come out for my birthday?
Absolutely. And I'll hit you over the head with it. What?
Girl, let's get to the show. It doesn't even look like you're wearing a shirt in the lighting that you're in on my computer.
I'm not.
You're just an alien in a skin suit.
I'm not wearing a shirt. And I have no genitals. I have nothing. No nipples, no anything.
Kyle XY or whatever. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
There used to be billboards, I remember, in like downtown where I grew up, and they'd be his abs with no belly button. And I'm like, still would.
One less hole never stopped me. As long as he's got a couple.
Hull-less and soulless, baby, we'll take them.
Why not?
Done it all. Well, Madison, speaking of holes, I have just one singular hole for us this week.
Okay.
And it's because it was just kind of wordy a little bit.
Oh, a wordy hole is...
A wordy hole.
Shut up, you know?
A wordy but worthy hole.
Okay.
Am I the asshole for wanting to keep my engagement ring from my late fiance? I, 36 female, lost my fiance nearly 11 years ago in a car crash. That is devastating. I mean, imagine like you're planning a wedding, planning a life. Fuck. We were both in the car, but I got out with only minor injuries while he died instantly. She was in the car. Oh. Yeah. This messed me up quite a bit, and I was in and out of therapy and support groups for years over this. Good for you for getting the help. Mm-hmm. The support group is where I met my current partner, 45-year-old male. He's a widower who lost his wife to cancer, and we understood each other's pain a lot and bonded over it. 3 years ago, we started dating, and we moved in with each other last month. I've remained close with the family of my late fiance since I lost him, and they were a great support to me in the first few years. However, his mother, 61 female, asked me last week for the ring he gave me back since I'm now seriously involved with another man. She said she wanted the ring to keep in the family and it would mean a lot to have it. This upset me. The ring he gave me wasn't a family ring.
I was literally thinking that. Was it a family heirloom? Okay.
And it's garnet and emerald ring he picked out because those are our birthstones and I didn't want a traditional diamond. We picked the ring out together and he saved for months to get me it. It holds a lot of beautiful memories for me, even if it's bittersweet. I'm now at a point where I can enjoy the good memories without too much pain. Me being in a relationship now doesn't mean that I have this ring gathering dust in a drawer somewhere. I wear it on my right hand now, the same way my partner wears his wedding ring. We both feel it's okay to honor our lost loves this way, and neither of us have any jealousy or negative feelings over this. Hell, we have a picture of my fiance and his wife on the wall in our living room.
Aww.
I told her I could understand if it had been a family ring that he'd inherited, though that still would have made me feel a little weird for her to be asking for it back, but it isn't a family ring. It's my ring, we picked it out together, and I plan to wear it for the rest of my life. She insisted it should be back in the family and that she wanted it as it was the last major purchase he made before he died. I ended up hanging up on her as I was so upset, and I've been avoiding her calls since. My partner is angry on my behalf that she even asked this and told me she's being ridiculous and that I should wear the ring as long as I want to. I can't help but feel like I'm being punished for finding someone to make me happy, that I was supposed to mourn him forever in her eyes. I've spoken to my parents about this too to get their insight, and my mom feels like maybe I should give the ring back as his mother is clearly just hurting and wants something to hold on to of her son. My dad, meanwhile, says he sees both sides and that it's my choice. I don't know. I might be a little too emotional over this. Am I being the asshole or unreasonable here?
No, I see both sides, of course, but
yeah,
I think keep it.
Keep it. I agree. And she went through this. She was in the fucking car when he died. Mm-hmm. Like, that is horrendous. If it was a family ring, 100%, I think she should give it back. Mm-hmm. 100%. If it was like, it was my mom's ring, like, I'd like it to go. And especially, I mean, we don't know the circumstances. Is there anyone else that could even be proposed to with it? But when she said it was the last big purchase he made before he died, that made me feel like it was about money.
Yeah, and it has their birthstones. Like, that's...
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean...
Or I'd get petty and I'd be like, okay, I am going to remove our birthstones so that I can turn them into something else, but I will gladly give you the piece of metal.
Yeah.
How about that?
I mean, it is a piece of jewelry, but I mean, things are sentimental. It doesn't matter. So...
And she honors him. And like, I have to shout out that like, I love that her and her new fiance, or not fiance, partner, she says in this, have
a similar story.
They're so comfortable. Yeah. They're like, okay, yeah, we want to keep the memory alive. And that is such a important thing to bond over. So I think that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think she's an asshole.
No.
But I don't.
Agreed.
I also have sympathy for the mother, of course, but
sure,
there's other things, not the wedding.
It's always hard. No, it's always hard too, because we're hearing one side of the story too. This girl, what if she was a monster? the mom's like, well, actually, she was too drunk to drive, and that's why he drove that night.
God.
We never know.
Yeah. Okay.
Not to put that on them. We don't know.
I know.
We don't know.
I know.
We don't know. I'm just saying we don't know the circumstances.
Right.
But no, not the asshole. Mm-mm. Well, here's what I can tell you, Madison. I am up first this week, which means that you should have a little side bitch for us.
I sure do. And because it was just New Year's Eve a week or two ago, we're still in the spirit, okay? So I have an obituary for you. This is from the Boston Globe. From 1975, it says, senior member passes on. Chat editor. This is the most heartbreaking letter I've ever written because my beloved mother, New Year's Eve. That's her name.
Her name was New Year's
Eve.
Love her. I bet she was a real blast.
I know. And passed on just 13 days before her 88th birthday. I am the daughter who lived at home with her, which... I think this person is an editor, but she talks about herself a lot.
Oh.
She had been a senior member of Confidential Chat since 1908. I believe it was called the Household Column then. It was so helpful to her over the years from young womanhood into the later years. And when her eyes became so bad she couldn't read it, I would read it to her. I am sure that Just Keep On, Senior Citizen Progressive Pilgrim, Little French Doll, Autumn Addict, Francie, Pomander's Child, Mama C, Sunrise Serenade, Mary, and St. Jude, Candy Heart, and many other chat members will remember her, which I thought was interesting. It's like these people's chat names.
Okay.
Even when her eyes were bad and she was in pain, she had so much courage even when she was in bad pain. She was always thinking of others. My father died when I was 10 months old, and my brothers and sisters were very young. She was a wonderful mother and worked very hard to keep all of us 8 children together. She was intelligent and so mentally strong and inwardly strong. Loving daughter, Barbara of New Year's Eve. Barbara.
She did talk about herself a lot.
Barbie, that's
But rest in peace to New Year's Eve.
I know. I think that's kind of cute. I guess.
Love that.
Yeah. And
I like the name.
I don't think it's on one of those like band names list either. So.
Oh, yeah.
I like the name Christmas too.
Yeah. Hank's middle name, my nephew, is Holiday.
Oh, yeah.
Hank Holiday.
Hank Holiday. That is a star. A star.
A star. Put him in a Western.
Yeah. Very good.
All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, I'm going to tell you what had me spinning in my coffin this week.
All righty.
We'll be right back.
And we're back. Spencer, what had you spinning in your coffin this week?
All right. Girly, Geoffs, Geoffs. Even all of them.
Jebs?
All of them. Jebs, Geobs. I am so excited because I am actually kind of piggybacking off of your recent coffin spinner. It kind of worked out perfectly because I came across the story of this woman named Karolina Olssen. And it's this pretty incredible story. Well, incredible is probably not the right word because the story itself is a little depressing. However, Karolina is a medical marvel of sorts. But all that being said, I'm really glad you took on comas last week because I feel like it was the perfect predecessor for today's coffin spinner.
Ooh, okay. I loved learning about comas.
Yeah, me too. All right, on to the story. But is this the story of a girl in a coma, or is it something much more sinister?
Oh.
We're gonna find out.
Okay.
It was very strange what happened to Karolina one day in late winter of 1876. The cold weather had stuck around through January, well into February, and it was on a cold February day when everything changed in the Olsen household. So the Olsens were very hard workers. The family consisted of the dad, Olaf, who was a farm worker and sometimes also worked as a fisherman.
And a snowman?
And he was an animated snowman as well. He was. And the mother, Christina, looked after Karolina and her 4 siblings, all of whom were just rambunctious boys. So Karolina was the only girl. And she was 14 at the time this took place.
Okay.
So the family lives in this very modest home in Åknö, Sweden. And the kids were constantly playing outside with each other,
Just
roughhousing out. Yeah, hellions. And it was on February 22nd that Karolina started complaining to her parents that she had this really bad toothache that seemed to come on out of nowhere. And if this happened in today's world, the parents would probably have responded very differently. But at the time, you know, good old Victorian era, Olaf and Christina were like, well, shit, this is probably witchcraft.
Of course. That's the
only plausible solution.
Only plausible solution. Yeah.
It seems like it's a big leap, right? Because I'm like, come on, like, would they actually jump to that conclusion just from it being a toothache? I know. But in all actuality, I mean, there was a lot of fear back then, especially in the Victorian era, I guess, when it came to toothaches specifically. Whether it was witchcraft or something even more demonic, it caused hysteria within people when a toothache happened. And I would be remiss, Madison, if I did not mention something called toothworms.
I don't want that.
Okay, I cannot believe this has never come up in my research before, but back in the day, there was a theory that tooth pain or decaying teeth were caused by a creature known as toothworms. And the idea was that the worm would burrow itself inside of like a tooth cavity and then just kind of tear it up from the inside out, causing like decay and damage. And this was a very, very naive theory, but also you can kind of see the logic behind it because if someone has a cavity, it's like a hole in the tooth, right? And so they kind of were assuming that because there was a hole, a worm probably made its way in, as if it was like an apple.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So that's kind of where I think the thought process there was. And we obviously know today this is a myth, but it took a really long time for us to get to a point where we understood like how bacteria works. As we know, we've talked about surgeries and all just the fucking wild, non-existent information that was out there. Like the way people just were operating literally and figuratively before is foul.
Yeah.
Disgusting, and caused a lot of unnecessary deaths, and is probably the reason why people were not living to a certain age before.
Yeah.
Or like how even cavities happen, you know, or like erosion that we've learned, like how important it is to protect the enamel on our teeth, how cavities come to be, sugars at the root of a lot of it.
As like nonsensical as it all sounds to us now, it's like, well, we kind of had to go through that to get to where we are, you know?
Exactly. Like there wouldn't be us now without us then. But it's also, yeah. We wouldn't be us without toothworms. There, we said it. Someone had to. No, but what is strange is that like it is so recent. Like we've talked about this before too recently just with each other, but like the technological advances that we've made in the last 100 years are so significant, and it's increased so rapidly. Like just the amount of things that are out there, the amount of new information coming forward, the new technology, like everything that's out there now. And then you look and it's like there were centuries where they were making progress on things, but nowhere near the amount of progress that came during the last 100 years. Mm-hmm. And that's why I'm like, aliens.
Maybe.
I think. We didn't make it this far without him. I did an episode on Eisenhower, on Cult Leader, and his alleged meet and greet with aliens, and like how pretty much technology took off from then on.
Okay.
And I kind of believe that.
Okay. I love it.
Anyway, toothworms. So it wasn't until, like I was saying, like the 1900s that we started getting like more information, or like we stopped believing that toothworms were the cause of this. But there was a long period of time where they just were coming up with wild theories like worms in your teeth. And I want to share, there was a few different visual descriptions that people had for toothworms. And I read an article on the National Library of Medicine published by W.E. Gerabek. And it said, quote, there were many different ideas with regard to the appearance of toothworms.
I was thinking, I'm like, okay, so did they find any worms? What did these look like?
There's like images of like teeth with little worms in them, but they're not real. But in England, for instance, this says, it was thought that the toothworm looked like an eel. In northern Germany, people supposed the toothworm to be red, blue, and gray. And in many cases, the worm was compared to a maggot, which is fucking gross.
Ew.
The gnawing worm was held responsible for many evils, and in particular was blamed for toothache provoked by caries. The question is discussed of how the belief of the existence of the toothworm in former times can be explained. In popular medicine, numerous therapies were applied in order to eradicate the toothworm. In addition to the fumigations and henbane seeds, which allowed the toothworm to develop in the form of burst seeds, there was also magical formulas and oaths. Basically, like, they really were trying to combat toothworms at a certain point in time. That's what I'm gathering here. I'm like, this was like a real thing. They were like, yeah. And I'm like, they're seeing things. I'm like, are they seeing roots and thinking that like roots are worms too, you know?
Just probably high on, you know, arsenic and heroin, and just those are worms, girl. Hallucinating.
Who fucking knows? Yeah. In some further reading, I found a lot of stories, or folklore rather, with mentions of tooth pain associated with witchcraft or demonic presences. And this belief that teeth could be used to curse a person or even control them is documented in several ancient texts.
Can I say really quick that when I was cleaning out the attic, that's when I found the gavels. I found quite a bit of teeth.
My teeth?
Your teeth? My teeth, a baby tooth of mine.
You have my wisdoms.
Yes, you gave them to me for Valentine's Day. I love them.
But, well, listen to this. Don't get any fucking ideas, because the Balkans, it was said that if someone found a person's tooth and put it in a doll, they could manipulate that person's thoughts and actions like a voodoo doll, essentially. Don't you do it, girl. Don't you fucking do it.
Oh, there's my earring over there. I lost an earring so long ago. It was a little pearl earring and it's down on the floor. Sorry.
Exciting.
That is the work of the doll.
That's the worms. The worms made me do it, Annie. And then they got RFK.
Oh, they got his brain. Allegedly.
Allegedly. In an article on clinicalvor.com, they wrote, quote, "In Russia, teeth were associated with protection from evil spirits. The loss of a tooth, especially a child's, could attract the interest of demons. So parents would burn fallen teeth to protect their children." It goes on to say this link between teeth and the supernatural is reflected in many other cultures, such as Japan, where teeth were used in rituals to protect against diseases and plagues.
Wait a minute. I'm going to need you to do a full breakdown of the tooth fairy then, because I guarantee there's crazy origins.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
I'll come back with the tooth fairy episode for you.
Okay. Thank you.
What a lot of this made me think too. Remember how I talked about this recently, but when I went to Lizzie Borden's house, I had that crazy tooth pain.
Yes.
Just for that trip. Never before, never after. Like,
weird.
Yeah.
That's
just the whole time I was
weird.
there, it just hurt so bad.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I know. Anyway, it's all interesting to think about. I don't want to go too far off. We're here to not talk about toothworm. We're here to this went tooth far, okay? And truth be told, it's time to move back to the point of the story, which is talking about Karolina. So we left the night of February 22nd, and she's got a toothache. Okay. Also, let me say this: 222, tooth, 222. February 22nd, second month of the year. It was on the 22nd day, 222.
Okay, here we go.
Okay. She's got a toothache, and her parents are concerned that she might be under attack by witches, perhaps under a spell of some sorts. I neglected to mention the first time that several days prior to this incident, I think 3 or 4 days before this toothache came on, 14-year-old Karolina had been playing outside with her brothers when she slipped on the ice and hit her head. Which is a much more likely cause of what happened after.
Yeah.
But it could be witches, could be demons. We don't know. Okay. It is eerie to think about the notion that maybe something sinister was going on, and you'll see why. So the evening of the 22nd, her parents tell her, like, you need to go to bed. Like, we don't know what's going on. Sorry your tooth hurts, girl. Sleep it off. So she goes to sleep, but the next day she doesn't wake up.
She probably had a concussion. Okay.
She's not dead. She's just asleep. Another day goes by, doesn't wake up, then another, and Karolina is just not waking up.
Okay.
This would go on for the next 32 years.
What? 32 years? That's how old I am. Holy shit.
I think you're a little older than me too.
Wow, I can't believe my whole lifespan. 32
plus some.
No, 32 years. Wow. That is fucking crazy. And you know what's crazy is I don't know, but was she buried alive? Like,
you know what's crazy is that you could probably, if anyone I had to bet money could sleep for 32 years in a row, it would probably be you.
I know. I could.
You're winning that contest.
I could. I love to sleep.
I was calling her this afternoon. I was like,
no, it was morning for me still. It was
What
9.
time?
It was 9 something this morning.
No. I'm going to put the call log. Austin, I'm sending you the call log.
What? No, you called me? Hold on. You called me?
It's like 10 o'clock.
Oh, I almost just called 911. Okay, hold on. I did.
Call him, girl.
9:48, girl. Read it and weep.
Okay. Yeah. Fucking insane. So as I mentioned, the family was not in any stellar financial situation, right? They were barely scraping by. So her dad, he couldn't just call a doctor to come visit. They just couldn't afford it. So Christina did her best to take care of her daughter, and she would force feed her milk twice a day. And then I guess intermittently throughout the day, she would pour sugar water down her throat. Okay. I'm like, she's going to get scurvy or something, right? Like she needs vegetables.
Protein and
sugar.
Yeah. Cause like if she's not consuming anything else, she needs that sugar.
I don't know, girl. But I do know, in a very sweet community move, the locals all came together and they collected enough money for a doctor to come pay a visit shortly after Karolina had stopped waking up.
Oh.
So this physician comes, but unfortunately, he cannot get her to wake up. But I guess he was like doing things like poking her with needles.
Yeah.
Like some good old 1800s shit, right?
Squeezing her nipples.
Smelling salts.
I want to try those.
Me fucking too. So every time I see a video of people like pranking with smelling salts, I'm like, I want to do it.
I know.
I just want to know what it feels like to be alive.
Or I see people do it before they lift. And I feel like
they're like going to do a deadlift or something and they're like...
I feel like that's probably the way to do it.
Girl.
I feel like I'd flip a car or something.
Hell yeah. I think they even tried like holding like spices or like I don't know, burning her mouth, I guess, with spices to like try and get some sort of reaction, but they weren't getting any reaction, allegedly. So he leaves determined that he's like the first one to say like, she is in a coma. She's in this comatose state. I don't know if she's probably ever going to come out of it. Now, this doctor would come back periodically over the next year or years and document. She became known as the sleeper or sleeping beauty of Oaknew. Ooh. And other members of the medical community started to learn about Karolina and were just fascinated by her story. What was eerily noted by some of the physicians, though, was that her hair and nails did not appear to grow at all during the years that she was in this coma. And I kept seeing that called out in different articles as like this medical marvel. And I was like, okay, yeah, but like her mom was with her. Like, was her mom just keeping her hygienic?
Probably, yeah.
Other articles made it seem like it was like this miracle that happened. They reported that she didn't seem to be aging during those years and that I don't fucking know. But I do know that years into this, Karolina's mother passes away in 1904. So that's like fucking 29 years or something into this ordeal. And a maid continues taking care of Karolina for the next 4 years until she wakes up.
Okay. So when she wakes up, God, I want to hear it.
I know. We'll get to that in a minute. But before we do, she had been hospitalized at one point during the 1890s. And they brought her in just to see if there was like anything that they could do. Because at that point, I mean, it had been so fucking long that she had been in this comatose state. And so I guess they did some electroconvulsive therapy on her. And some shock treatments as well, but just didn't work. But the doctors there apparently determined like, oh yeah, she's got general paresis of the insane, GPI, which is a neuropsychiatric disorder which is caused by late stage syphilis.
Oh fuck, but wouldn't syphilis have taken her out?
Come on. Yeah, exactly. So first of all, I think the reason that they like came to that conclusion was because it was happening a lot at the time, but they're like GPI, that specific condition, can cause profound alterations in consciousness, extreme withdrawal, or catatonia, which is a pretty name, actually. Catatonia. Yeah, so my daughter, Catatonia.
Feels like Hunger Games something.
Okay. Katniss.
Yeah, maybe that's why.
Yeah. Long periods of unresponsiveness.
Okay. And that's real?
That's real. And she was unresponsive, for decades. She was unable to speak or move, apparently, allegedly. But that's kind of really like where the overlaps stop. There's a lot of differences because GPI, that specific condition, usually presents itself in adults between the ages of 30 and 50. And she was only 14 when symptoms began. And there was no other like juvenile cases reported at the time, I believe. And she also didn't have any symptoms of like syphilis itself.
Yeah.
So yes, GPI, this condition can cause an extreme neurological shutdown, but that's not what she was dealing with because it's degenerative also as a disorder. And as we're going to come to find out very shortly, there was not a fatality in Karolina's case. So on April 3rd of 1908, the day she woke up, this was 32 years and 42 days after she had gone to sleep.
Fuck.
She was found in her room jumping on the floor I guess. And like, girl, I'd be too. Get me out of bed. I'm like, whoa. But she remembered everything from before she went to sleep.
She probably had gossip. Oh, before she went to sleep. Okay.
Before she went to sleep. And then immediately they started like running tests and stuff on her. And I wish we had like today's medical know-how to know what was going on here, or just like better recordings of it. But it really did seem like she had almost been preserved all those years. They said that she woke up looking no older than 25.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. But imagine, she went to sleep as a 14-year-old girl and woke up as a 46-year-old woman.
Wow. Whoa. Yeah. But probably still the mind of a 14-year-old.
Well, and I'm like, she probably looked great because she probably wasn't out there in the sun or anything.
She was probably such a beauty. Oh my God.
Truly. Now, here's the thing. Not everyone is convinced that this girl was in a coma. There's people that are like, she was fucking faking it and the mom was helping her fake it.
Okay. And the mom passed and she kept it going for a couple more years. And
then she's like, all right, jig is up.
Yeah.
Okay. There's reports that her and her mom were regularly heard like chatting with each other and like sometimes having meals and then like, just like put her back to bed, which is so crazy. Other family members did mention, they didn't say like, oh yeah, she was fully alert and awake, but they mentioned that she would wake up from time to time and like ramble out different prayers that she'd often recited when she was younger. And it was just strange.
But
she could have just been an attention seeker girl. She could have been like...
Yeah, but to have no reaction from all the little like hurtful tests.
Yeah. Yeah.
But maybe they would inject her. The mom, this is what the mom did. She would go...
Munchausen.
She would go down to the local village. She would pick up drugs from the drug dealer.
Yeah.
And she would be sedating her. So she'd be like, listen... The doctor's going to come over and he's going to pull all these tests. We're going to sedate you so that you don't have any reaction.
I think you're on to something.
Okay. What if we solve a 100-year crime?
No, I think low-key, I think we did. Because there's a psychiatrist named Dr. Frodestrom who met her in 1910 and published a paper in 1912 about her, and he stated his analysis was limited to her situation being an unclear case of hibernation. It was revealed that she did wake up occasionally, and when she did, she reacted with sorrow and anger, which fully could have been her like dealing with like the coming on and off of substances.
Like sedatives.
Yeah, he speculated that she thought she was seriously ill and that she remained still with her eyes closed and refused to eat to elicit sympathy. So he's like, no, she was doing this on purpose. It has been conjectured, quote, that her mother had helped her and kept the fact secret that she was no longer hibernating.
When you were telling me the story, it reminded me of Yaki, the lizard, because he's in like a brumation right now. Like, so he's not, it's not like a full hibernation, but he'll sleep all day. He'll wake up to eat barely, and then he goes back and sleeps, and like it just goes on, and it's because it's cold and this is kind of the time they do it. But that is what I was thinking. I'm like,
yeah. Well, it's funny too, not my like regular trainer, but the guy who was teaching a class that I went to today at the gym, we were talking about he's going out to Gatlinburg to like go stay in a cabin for a couple days this weekend. And he was like, yeah, I really hope I see a bear. And then we were talking about like hibernation and stuff. And he's like, I always thought like they went to sleep for like months at a time.
So
and I was like, oh, I thought that for the longest time too, because that's how we're taught. It makes it seem like, oh, they go in and they're just asleep for 4 months or something. But they're not. They, you know, are in their cave and they wake up and eat a little bit. And, but they're just not doing the same thing. But anyway, Karolina, she went on to live until 88 years old.
Wow.
And then she died of a brain hemorrhage of sorts on April 5th of 1950. So at least, you know, if she was in this comatose state, she got to live out the rest of her days.
Wow.
But I don't know. Some people are like, yeah, it was a medical marvel, but others are like, I don't know. You know what it made me think of too is like, there's that like trapped in your body syndrome.
Yeah, we talked about it last week. What was it fucking called?
I don't remember, but we were
Locked
Locked in.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, what if it was something like that? I don't know. Crazy though.
Wow. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Crazy. Well, we're going to take one more crazy break. And when we come back, we're going to hear what had Madison spinning in her coffin this week.
Alrighty.
We'll be right back. And we're back. What had you spinning in your coffin this week?
Well, actually, my little tooth worms, I was spinning in my casket this week. Okay.
Ooh, excuse us. So didn't know she's better than us now.
In my casket. I was at lunch the other day and was talking to a friend of a friend about his experience in New Orleans, which can't believe we both have never fucking been there. Like,
shocking.
It's shocking. We have to go this year.
I know.
We really do. But he had recently traveled there and was telling me all of the cool history and lore that he learned about. And he started talking about these women who came over from France. And I immediately stopped him and I was like, are you talking about the Casket Girls? And he's like, yeah, like, how did you know? And I'm like, I have had an article about them saved for almost a year now. And I don't know why I haven't talked about them yet, but I like took it as a sign. Like, okay, now I'm gonna talk about it. So today what had me spinning was the Casket Girls of New Orleans. We first saw the Casket Girls of New Orleans in the early 1700s. And I'll get into why they're called that a little bit later. But Louisiana in the 1700s was a French colony, which I'm sure we all learned about in school. I have no recollection though.
Yeah.
And when I read it, I was like, oh yeah, that's the Louisiana Purchase. Like, right? Well, no, it absolutely wasn't. So I had to like educate myself. So Louisiana was a French colony because in the 1600s, Europeans were coming over and claiming land, as we know. And France wanted trade routes and power and money in cities, but like mainly the trade routes were really important for garnering all of the rest of that. So French explorers followed the Mississippi River and they reached the Gulf of Mexico. And you cannot pay me any amount of money to say the Gulf of America, by the way. It's the Gulf of Mexico. And they saw Louisiana, and Louisiana is named after King Louis XIV. I don't know what that is in Roman.
I think 7th.
Okay. Well, Louisiana is named after a King Louis, which I didn't know that. Like
okay.
Louisiana.
Louisiana. Makes sense.
It also wasn't just like modern day Louisiana as we know it. It was a ton of land, including parts of Canada. So basically the Mississippi River and everything that drained into it, they purchased. And it was France like claimed and purchased.
Got it.
And then New Orleans was founded in 1718 because basically, if you controlled New Orleans, then you controlled trade because it sat near the mouth of the river. But France struggled to keep it because of the weather, because it's swampy and like humid. And it was hard because of the weather. And there were too few settlers there, especially women, which plays a big role in the Casket Girls. Anyway, I also didn't know that France owned it until 1762. And then they secretly give it to Spain. Then Spain was like, no, girl, like, we don't want this, and gives it back to France. Then in 1803, France sells it to the United States, which is the Louisiana Purchase.
Got it.
Okay. So I say all of that to say, because I mentioned how it was hard for France to maintain Louisiana and stick to their plan of control and trade and wealth and power and all that, because there were so few women, which meant not enough settlers and not enough baby making, honestly. At the time, it was like hot dog central, like just a bunch of soldiers and laborers and just
sausage
men.
Fest.
It was a sausage fest, yes. And in my opinion, and I think this is right, and I think you agree, like to build a stable society, we absolutely need women and lots of them. You're not going to say anything. He's a woman hater.
What, to tell us what to do, honey?
Al
To
Bundy.
backseat drive? No thanks.
Al Bundy. Remember he had that like no women club in his garage?
Yeah.
God.
I had one of those too, honey. No women allowed. We're doing something different.
In
We're
your
sword
closet.
fighting in here.
In
Okay.
your closet, honey. In your closet.
Girl.
Okay, so France is like, okay, we have to import brides. That's the only thing we can do. And
Brides?
Brides, yes.
Okay.
So first this goes poorly. France decides to clear out their prisons and their brothels and sends these women to Louisiana. And these are known as the correction girls, I believe. But yeah, shockingly, it didn't work. It didn't create families and wives. Then the church steps in France and is like, okay, let's try this again, but let's send girlies who aren't going to start to rebel. And who aren't criminals. So they sent the Casket Girls. And
Okay.
historians estimate like several hundred women ended up crossing over the ocean from France to Louisiana. And the Casket Girls that they sent were usually young, sometimes orphaned, sometimes poor, but from like really respected families. And some were recruited from places like convents. I think all of them were Catholic and considered virtuous and just marriage material.
Why were they called the Casket Girls? I gotta know.
Okay, so originally they weren't called the Casket Girls until later, I believe.
Okay.
I've heard them be referred to as the Pelican Girls also,
Because
but
they had mouths.
they were ready. They had mouths on them. They were called the Casket Girls because each girl was given a small wooden trunk. And in French, it was called a cassette. But in French, it's à la cassette. And in English, it's translated into Casket Girls.
Huh.
Inside of their trunks were basically everything you would pack in a suitcase. So clothes, personal items, hygiene, like all that. But also because the trunks were small and boxy and wooden, and I'll put a picture up, they looked like little caskets or little
Okay.
They look like, yeah, caskets.
So they were like the OG goth girls walking around with little coffin-shaped or casket-shaped bags.
Yes, and they arrived like on a ship and they were so pale.
God, I wish we had that reality show.
I know.
Casket Girls.
Totally. These girls had to take like a month's long voyage on a ship to Louisiana from France.
Yeah.
And a lot of them died of yellow fever and other diseases. But the ones that survived arrived in New Orleans around 1728. There were like different waves of them, but this wave that I'm specifically talking about was like 1728. Some already had marriages like fully set up and ready to go, but many unmarried women were placed under the supervision of the Ursuline nuns, which I don't know. I know your grandma's name was Ursula. I love the name Ursula, but it's a crazy name.
It's a strong name.
It's a strong name, not crazy. It's a strong name.
You don't fuck with Ursula.
Yes, I know. So they were under the supervision of the Ursuline nuns, especially after the earlier waves of women had experienced some abuse and like exploitation, which I'll get into. But the Ursuline nuns basically babysat them until they had marriage contracts like signed, and then they could place them in homes. Yeah, a lot of talk about mistreatment. A lot of those women were set to be sent back to France. I guess the king was like, okay, if they're being mistreated, like bring them home. And also the girls had to adjust to the climate and like learn about colonial life. And I read that they were, extremely pale, which made people talk already. And also they would get burns very easily. And while they were adjusting, they were burnt up. Okay. Anyway, lots of the women became wives and mothers, and I've read that they were like the first bloodlines of Creole in New Orleans.
Oh.
And some like prominent families can still trace their ancestry back. And I was reading an article, I have it linked, but somebody wrote about their like great-great-great grandma who was a casket girl. So Yeah, it's all documented.
Okay.
But the Casket Girls really did do their thing. Like, they stabilized the colony, they created families, and they helped turn New Orleans into a functioning city. So they did their job. However, there is a shit ton of vampire lore connected with these women. First of all, I read that the Ursuline convent that housed them is still there, and there's still pictures of it, and there's like a lot of ghost tours, and you go to that convent.
Okay.
And it, I think, is the oldest building in New Orleans. So according to local lore, once the girls arrived to New Orleans, some of their paths kind of diverged. So some of them went off and got married. I think some of them might have liked New Orleans and just stayed and never married. And then some obviously wanted to go home. So the girls who are not yet married and wanting to go home were housed on the upper floor of the Ursuline convent, which was basically the attic.
Okay.
There are stories that say it was just their trunks that were housed for storage up there. Other like interpretations of it say that they were housed up there as well.
And they slept in their trunks like little caskets.
No. So when the nuns made arrangements and it was like time for the remaining girls to go back to France, I guess the nuns went up to the third floor attic, like to get the girls' trunks. Which the girls had, I believe, access to the trunks. Like, it had all their daily personal items in there. But when they went up there, the nuns discovered that every single one of their trunks had nothing in them. Completely couldn't, and it wasn't on the girls. Like, they couldn't find anything. Just completely empty. So this freaks the nuns out. They're like, this has to be some type of witchcraft or a vampire. And according to some stories, this is when people began feeling off, like there was something off about these women. But then I read that, no, they were very pale and like kind of weird to the other people in Louisiana. And so they already were kind of talking like, why are they so pale? And people speculated that they were vampires. And so
I love that.
I know. But also some people were like, no. Like, they're not vampires. That's crazy. What they did was some kind of unholy spirit got into their caskets and they traveled here like unknowingly with them and let them out in New Orleans.
Got it.
Which now, looking at New Orleans today, has so much ghost lore and witch lore and like, who knows?
Some spooky shit.
Very spooky. I guess the nuns acted quickly and the upper windows of the convent were sealed, like nailed shut. And to this day, those attic windows are still boarded up and sealed shut.
I want to see them.
Yeah, I'll post pictures. I should have sent you. Sorry.
Well, I want to see them in real life. I mean.
Oh, I know. So from neworleans.com, it says, quote, fearing something supernatural was afoot, the nuns went out of their way to ensure nothing and no one could enter or exit the space again. While some stories say those shutters were nailed down with nails blessed by a pope, Pope John Paul II, the first pontiff to visit New Orleans in 1987. So one might assume that these nails were brought to Rome for blessing, then shipped across the Atlantic. The addition of vampirism to these young women's tale, whether the Casket Girls themselves were the vampires or their caskets were their method of carrying vampires across the sea to the New World, is much more recent, I guess. So who knows? So I was thinking, I'm like, okay, so where did these girls go? Like, what happened to the ones that wanted to go home? And we have documentation about what happened after they arrived. Like, we have marriage certificates, we have church records, we have burial records. We have some census stuff, but there aren't any records of like ships coming to pick up these
because they're
girls.
Vampires, girl.
Who knows? Yeah, maybe they just disappeared.
And we love that.
They're still living, you know?
They're walking up and down Bourbon Street.
Walking up and down Bourbon Street. Yes. I did find something in like the newspaper archives. I wanted to see if newspapers were writing about them. And the Kansas City Star from 1926 talks about them, which again was like 100 or 200 years later. But they talk about a petticoat rebellion of the Casket Girls. There's just a couple bits and pieces I wanted to read you. It says the girls were most popular and wedding followed wedding. Duels were ever popular in the colonial Louisiana, and the first and one of the most dramatic was fought for the hand of one of the Casket Girls.
Wow.
So they were a hot commodity.
Okay.
Casket
Girls.
The Casket Girls. But I guess the Casket Girls were angry at all of the cornbread that they had to eat. I guess their diet was basically cornbread and squirrel. And so this article talks about how they met up and were like having a town hall meeting about it. Like, we need to change this. Like, because they were used to a French diet, and I guess they had plump pigs and really, I mean, it's kind of the same shit we talk about today in America.
Yeah.
Like, you go elsewhere and it's like, oh, wow, the food is incredible. And then I also found in 1977, the Sun News, they wrote about the Casket Girls and their like incredible culinary skills and how they really shaped like a lot of the Louisiana like delicacies. And it says, this is dated language. It says from the Indians, which we don't say. But from the Native Americans, the Casket Girls learned the art of grinding up sassafras leaves to produce file, the magic ingredient of gumbo. So we have them to thank for gumbo, I think.
Oh my God.
Also, I found in that newspaper, and it made me laugh. It says, the laziest man has been found, and he was in Portis a few days ago. After borrowing a match and bumming a cigarette, he sat down by a wagon and held the match against the tire so that the match would be lighted when the wagon started forward, which I love.
Honestly, I call that innovation is what I call that.
That is innovation. So, yeah, in the end, I feel sorry for these women. Like, they were a part of a state-sponsored immigration effort, but it didn't seem like they had a better life.
I guarantee this was pretty much trafficking.
And it was all about population. Like, they were reduced to logistics. Like, it wasn't. And called fucking vampires. So
that wouldn't bother me one bit if someone wants to start that rumor about us.
Vampires are always beautiful.
All right, let's move into some obituaries, shall we?
Let's do it.
This one says 1940 to 2022. Deidre Grace Glabus passed away in Tabor on Friday, January 21st, 2022 at the age of 81 years. Relatives and friends are invited to meet with the family at Southland Funeral Chapel, 5006, 48 Avenue, Tabor on Thursday, January 27th between 4 and 5 p.m. Due to the fact that in-person attendance at this visitation is limited, those who wish to attend may do so by visiting Dee's obituary page on our website and choosing the attend visitation link to schedule an arrival time. Alternatively, you can call the funeral home to schedule a time. Please be mindful that the visitation time selected is limited to a 10-minute window to allow others the opportunity to meet the family. And then it lists like the funeral service information.
Okay. And
that one was sent in to us via GF that said, "Hi Spencer and Madison. You might remember me because I've emailed you before telling the story of a patient who faked his death after being discharged from the psych unit I worked on. Well, I'm back with another interesting story / obituary. I grew up in a very small town, Tabor, Alberta, Canada. Like 8,000 people, and overall, it's a very boring place. But we have a couple stories that put us on the map. The one I'm emailing you about is about a woman who passed away in 2022. She lived in Tabor for 50 years as Deidre Glabus, but her other name was La Pistarola, or Sharon Kinney. Kinney was famous for killing up to 3 people, escaping a Mexican prison in 1969, never to be found until now.
Oh my God.
Recently, it came out that she had lived the last 50 years in my town, hiding out in our sleepy town, working as a realtor, volunteer, and more. I guess she also married twice to people in Tabor, and both her husbands died before her. Maybe sus, maybe not. My family had a little bit of contact with her and her kids, and were none the wiser. I tried to find her obituary, but it looks like it was removed from the website, but I think it was back. So I guess someone this year tipped off law enforcement. They matched her fingertips to old ones on files, and this story will be my claim to fame for a while now until our next wild Tabor story comes up. XOXO, the psych nurse who still doesn't want her name used. But I was like, scandalous.
That is scandalous. I don't know how. And, I don't know how people live with themselves, right? But I also wonder how many people out there are like living a double life, because there's this video that's been going around on TikTok. I love body cam footage. I love to watch it all day. There's new body cam footage of
that woman who had kidnapped somebody.
Yeah, she kidnapped her own daughter, but like 30 or 40 years later, they discovered, it was her. She was living under a different name. But yeah, and the neighbor was like,
it was her daughter?
Yeah, it was her daughter. The
neighbor's like, Deborah, they're coming for you. They're coming for you, girl.
They're coming for you, Sharon. Yeah.
And then they really were. They were like, yeah, we actually are. The cop was laughing.
The cop was like, okay, go home. Yeah.
Wait, so she kidnapped her daughter? That was the story?
Yeah. She kidnapped her own daughter. And so
was her daughter taken from her custody?
I think she lost custody, but her dad I don't think had anything, like no history of abuse or nothing. I think
the mom was crazy and took her.
Yeah, to a different state, changed her name, all that. So
damn.
I know. Who knows? People are wild. People have secrets.
They do.
It's crazy.
That is the truth. All right. Who you got for your obituary?
Okay. So I originally was going to do Selena's dad's obituary, Abraham Quintanilla, but I know people feel different. Like he's controversial. So I was like, no, you know what? I am going to find a death notice. And I did. This is from the Daily Times from 1928. It says Bulletin, Toledo, which I guess is Ohio, Toledo, Ohio. January 13th. Albert Odin, 48, Millsdale, Michigan, farmer, quietly reiterated to police today how he killed George Woodward, 54, Toledo, last night because Woodward broke up my home. I just killed a man and he deserved it if any man ever did, Odin told police as he surrendered. The farmer said he stabbed Woodward with a banana knife. Woodward died on the front porch at the home of patrolman Carl Varner, where he sought refuge from Odin. Odin quietly recounted the circumstances which he claimed led up to the killing. Woodward worked for him near Hillsdale 3 years ago, he said. After Woodward had been there a year, Odin said he learned the man and Mrs. Odin were holding clandestine meetings.
Oh, not clandestine meetings. Harlot.
Odin said he became so enraged he left home. He did not return until a few weeks ago, his visit being occasioned by a desire to see his 16-year-old daughter, Thelma, he said. Wednesday night, Odin continued. He heard that Woodward, in a drunken rage, had beaten Odin's wife, and Odin determined to intervene. With this intention, Odin said he sought Woodward out last night. A dispute followed and Woodward attacked him, he declared. Odin drew the long-bladed banana knife and stabbed the man 3 times.
Jeez.
I know. Woodward broke away and ran to the Varner home where he died. Odin's story was corroborated by Roy C. Crawford, 36, and a man named Ryan who witnessed the slaying. A coroner's inquest will investigate Woodward's death and will return a verdict sometime today.
Damn.
Homewrecker.
Mm-hmm. Now it's in the newspaper. For all of eternity.
God, and now on a podcast.
Yeah, as are these next stories. We have spun in our coffins.
We have bitched our obituaries.
It means it's time for some dumb
ass criminals.
All right. I have a Florida man. This is from Fox 13, and it's short but sweet. And it is about this man, and his name is Wally Clanton. He was 50 years old, and he was recently arrested and charged with criminal mischief, arson of a first-degree structure, shooting at, within, or into a building, and felon in possession of a firearm.
Oh, menace.
Apparently, officers, this happened at the end of November of this year, were called to his neighborhood on Friday because a man had been shot. And I think that was actually like an unrelated instance, but someone's house was on fire. And basically what happened was this man, Wally, he had this like ongoing feud, I guess, with his neighbor. So he shot at his neighbor's house. But in doing so, I think it ricocheted and it hit something in his house that lit his house on fire. So
no!
he was like trying to like fucking attack the neighbor and then ended up burning his own house.
That is like that
fire.
old saying of like karma or holding a grudge is only like hurting you.
Girl, I love though. There's nothing better than like, I love those instant karma videos. I will watch minutes upon minutes upon minutes of those, but like where this guy, you've probably seen it, he's like walking in a crosswalk and he's like shaming the car and then he walks into a pole. Yeah. And then he's like, yeah.
Anger makes people just fucking ugly.
Crazy.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, I have one that was sent in to us and from somebody named Madison. So I had to read it.
Oh. That's the way to get your email read, folks.
Thought you would get a kick out of this dumbass criminal. Longtime listener. Love you both and your podcast. Love, Madison. And I laughed when I read the headline, so I'm not going to read it yet. This is from CBS News. A man was charged after he allegedly took off his clothes at the front desk of a Planet Fitness and exercised naked, naked Sunday, according to local reports. He also told police he thought the gym was a judgment-free zone.
Oh, good for him.
Good for him. Eric Stagno, 34, was arrested without incident and charged with indecent exposure, lewdness, and disorderly conduct after police responded to the crowded gym. Wait, I love imagining someone naked.
Is that his mugshot? Let's see
working out. He does not look 34. Sorry.
Oh no, not who I want to see naked at the gym.
I want to see anyone naked at the gym. I love it. No, listen to this. When officers arrived, they found him there completely nude on his knees in a yoga type position.
Cool.
He walked into the gym, stripped down at the door, then proceeded to walk back and forth a couple of times before settling in on the yoga mats. So good for him.
Love it.
He was released on $1,000 bail. So good for him.
Good for him. I'll have him write to us. We'll send him $100 towards his bail.
I would love
10%.
that. Well, it happened in 2018, but
we're still good for the money. Write to us.
And something tells me he hasn't stayed out of trouble, but I don't know. Who knows?
Maybe that was his rock bottom, but it doesn't sound like he thought he was wrong. Mm-hmm. Which I also like, someone who just sticks to their guns. They're like, I'm right.
And calls them out. This is the judgment-free zone.
Yeah. Shit. Well, speaking of judgment-free, I hope you don't judge us if we wrap things up here.
Yeah.
You know what I did today is I drank so much coffee that I think it's doing me in. I think I'm gonna collapse.
Okay, we'll go and get ready for your 32-year slumber.
Yeah, I'm gonna actually go to bed for the next 32 years. Don't wake me.
I won't.
Don't wake me. But we'll be back next week. I'll come out of my slumber just once a week for some more coffin spinners
and obituaries
and dumb
ass
criminals. Goodbye.
Goodbye.